Welcome to another episode of Kicking It with Dr. Kelz. Today's episode is You Only See Me When You Need Something. When connection starts to feel transactional. And as a reminder, you or your business could have sponsored this episode. Contact Dr. Kelz for more information.
Hey everybody, it is your girl, Dr. Kelz. Thank you for joining me today. I am checking in for another podcast. And again, so glad to see you here. For those of you who are coming back on the replay, thank you. I appreciate you. Boy, do I have a topic for us today. You only see me when you need something, when connection starts to feel transactional. Ooh-wee. Is that hitting for anybody? Is it hitting? It hits for me. I believe that this podcast today is going to be one very personal, I think, and I think a lot of people it resonates with. What y'all think about the scarf? Let me know. Is it working for me? I think it's working for me. I like it. Let me know what you think. So let's get into it. I think a lot of people look at transactions and relationships like they go together. I think it's a quiet entity. I don't think people always say it out loud, but I think that they constantly are looking at it. I know one of my big words is reciprocity, right? I'm not getting back what I'm putting in. So I think people start to realize patterns. I'm a pattern person. If you know anything about me, I am pattern all day, every day. I pick up on the smallest nuances. I start to see the pattern. Sometimes it's to a fault. So the pattern begins. They reach out when something's wrong. They're only calling you for advice. The phone rings, and when you say hello, they start dumping. Um, dumping. Don't ask you how you are. Even if they do ask you how you are, they still might continue to just dump, 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 dump. Things are falling apart. They're calling you. They check in when they need support. When their life is chaos, they're calling you. Then the next thing you know, when things are going well for them or things are calm in their life, nobody's calling you anymore. Or the biggest thing is when you need something. There's nobody on the other end of the line because you're the one that is so used to giving, giving, giving. You're creating a culture. I created a culture of how people should treat you based on the transaction. So here you are, you're here, you're always here. And the next thing you know, your world falls apart or you need a little bit more than hey, how you doing? And nobody is there for you. You can start asking yourself, do they even see me? Do they know I exist? Do they know that I have needs too? I'm going to do the one on being the strong friend and what that looks like, but you begin to feel used. And that might not be what's going on, but you've created the expectation that every time that phone rings, you're going to be there. And guess what? It hurts, especially when you need something back. So it's not about the phone call. It's not about the text. It's about the pattern, the interaction that you make yourself available to the point where you can just call me and I'm going to drop everything I'm doing and be there for you. Or I'm going to sit on the phone with you for an hour and dump all my stuff and there's no exchange and then say, oh, I'm going to call you back. I'll talk to you later. That's a problem. I don't think that it's intentional. I think that it is a pattern. I think it's a behavior, something that happens, but it can definitely feel one-sided. When it feels one-sided, it can create some feelings of hurt, maybe distrust. So you start picking up this pattern and you're like, why does this keep happening to me, right? Seeing it across different medians. Okay, just because that's the type of person I am doesn't mean that I want people to just look at me like that, right? I have needs. I'd like to have a conversation. I think then it creates a pattern too, where now when you do ask about me, I don't have anything to say because I'm so used to you don't dumping that I don't even want to give you my stuff because you're not even focused on me. Uh, It's very weird. Relationships can be very weird. When you are known as the listener, the helper, the problem solver, the constant, the steady rock, the one who always gets it, you're putting yourself at risk for this to happen. It's a natural response. And it's not saying that it's a wrong response that you're there for people, but if there's nothing in return, there's no reciprocity, nothing comes back, how is this a beneficial relationship to all parties? I'm good when you need to feel good. I'm good when you put those pieces together. It's a lot. So, um, supporting someone and constantly being there for them is not a connection. It's transactional. It's a transaction based on support, nothing else, nothing more. So I don't think it's because people don't care. I think it's because that's just how the relationship ends up shaping, and one person's going to end up getting hurt. That we know for sure. This happens in many, many different settings, right? It's not just friendships, right? We can see interaction with people, the one person that just constantly gives, rarely asked about how they're doing and how their life is because it's assumed that everything is fine. I believe that that's the story of my life, but that's for another podcast. How about the person in the family? Are you the person in the family that everybody comes to when something happens? You might give the support. You might be the one that goes running when somebody's in a hospital or somebody needs something. Maybe you provide the financial support, whatever it is. You definitely are the person that constantly shows up. Or how about in the workplace? This is always good. I've been in education many years, and it seems like the people who do really well get stuck where they're at because nobody can do what they do. Talk to teachers, talk to people in the education field, and they'll tell you the same thing. Um, you're the reliable one, or the same people that run like the clubs, and this is just the education system, or maybe the ones that are always responsible for stuff in different settings. Chime in, let me know, what does that look like at your job and what you do? um, when you're reliable, or you're the person that's known to do it and just get it done, you end up being called on all the time. I think, and if you get my book, grab a copy of Hats. It talks about how we wear these roles and the feelings on both sides of the coin, right? How being in this role could make you feel good, right? It makes you feel wanted. It makes you feel valuable. And then on the other side of it, you get exhausted from it. You become resentful. So there has to be some type of balance. When you look at the boss relying on certain people to get things done. That's another example of this. This is when the relationship turns to being transactional because it's not give and take. It's I need, I need, I need, I need, I need, I need, I need. How does this look? What do we do? Um, you get to change how people experience you. And I find that this is probably one of the hardest things to overcome and look at. How do we get out of this pattern, right? What do we do? Um, there's a difference between roles and relationships, right? A role answers the question of what do you have? I'm sorry, what do you do here, right? What do you do here? Where the relationship is, who are you here, right? So what do I do here? So if I'm in a one-sided relationship, what I do is I constantly give advice. I constantly help you solve problems that you may or may not even listen to. That's what I do. But in that relationship, who am I? Well, if I feel like I've become only the person that's good enough to hear what's going on in your world and help you fix your stuff, that's a problem. One thing I've learned over the years in relationships, you know, um, this is the type of relationship I feel like I end up in a lot because of who I am and my skill set, the things I know, the things I do. My heart posture is to help people. So I end up in relationships that might look like this. It is very hurtful. And one thing you try to look at is, it's not intentional. You don't want it to be intentional. Um, but you get in a place where you start questioning yourself, like, am I saying what I'm saying? Then when you try to talk about it and say, hey, it's kind of going this way, things don't change. You kind of created that situation. So I don't want people, and I hope you don't want people to interact with me based on my role, not people that I should be in a relationship with or have a relationship with. Um, they might not even know they're doing it. Sometimes when you're in relationships with people and you're the one that's constantly like giving, you have to go to someone else to get what you're giving. I've learned that, right? So if you have to do that, is it a friendship or is it transactional? Like, what is it? So if I'm in a relationship or you're in a relationship with someone and you guys are supposed to be close and you're besties or whatever the case may be, and you have to go outside of that friendship to get your needs met with what's going on with you, I wouldn't per se call that a friendship. I would say it's one-sided, right? I would say it's one-sided, or it's not a friendship that is based on depth. So that whole transactional thing, the word is interesting, but um, I think that it fits. I really do. I think transactional fits. I say lack of reciprocity, right? It's not, I'm not receiving what I'm giving. That's my favorite word for. So when you get in these transactional roles, what could possibly begin to happen? Maybe you don't feel seen in the relationship. Emotionally tired. Anybody ever been emotionally tired from dealing with other people's stuff all the time? Just tired, emotionally tired, um, hesitant to keep showing up the same way. Maybe you start distancing yourself, unsure how to shift the dynamic without damaging the relationship. Oh, this lovely word is called guilt. How do I pull away? How do I protect myself without feeling guilty? Um, it's hard. How do you know when you're sure this is going on? Like I said, I am a pattern person. So when I'm looking at these things, I'm definitely looking from a pattern perspective. So um, let's look. You got a checklist, grab a notebook, write it down. I got a little checklist here. Tell me and get a person in mind, right? Think about someone. Think about someone that you know that you're in a relationship with, and maybe you're questioning what type of relationship this is, right? So here you go. Conversations mostly revolve around the other person's needs. You feel drained after interactions rather than feeling connected. You hesitate to reach out because you're not sure you'll be met. Wow, you're not even reaching out anymore because you're like, all they're going to do is start talking about themselves. This is real. It is a reality. These things happen. It's crazy, but it is. I have been, well, I listened to the Let Them um, book, and then I actually purchased the book because it was so good. So I talked about it on another podcast episode. But if you haven't read this book, grab a copy, go on YouTube, find the audio version of it, buy the Audible, whatever you need to do. The book is really good. And they have this whole chapter about adult friendships and what that looks like and what they're supposed to look like. And the author talks about how You try to make an adult relationship or friendship look like a friendship when you were kids. And it's really good. I'm not going to give it away. You just go listen to it. So, all right. So conversations revolve around the other person's need. You feel drained after interactions. You hesitate to reach out because you're not sure you'll be met. You don't feel comfortable being vulnerable in return. This is when the distrust happens because now your eyes are so open, like you really don't care nothing about what's going on in my world. Okay, maybe that's not true. Maybe that's an irrational thought and you're just like running with it and going with it. So maybe, maybe, just maybe, I don't know. Um, I'm sorry. I feel like I got a burp. Because it was so good. So I talked about it on another podcast episode. But if you haven't read this book, grab a copy, go on YouTube, find an audio version of it, buy the Audible, whatever you need to do. The book is really good. And they have this whole chapter about adult friendships and what just entertained me for a minute, right? Um, maybe, maybe you don't want to be vulnerable because how can they stop thinking about anything but themselves? Or maybe their responses are like shallow. I'm listening, but I'm really not listening. Um, I don't know what to say, so I'm just like pacifying you. Um, I'm really not listening, so my responses are not adding up to what you're saying because I'm really not listening to you. They're so distracted in their mess. How could they possibly give you what you need? Or maybe they're not even equipped to give you what you need. I've learned that too. Why are we mad at people? Because they are unable to give us what they need, what we need. They just physically cannot. And we got to be okay with that, right? Um, is it a deal breaker? I have a friend who has taught me about compartmentalizing, putting people in different compartments as a way to cope or a way to learn how to handle dealing with the different type of people in your life, right? So this person has this purpose in my life, and this person has that purpose. Maybe everybody's not supposed to be your ace buku, your number one, know everything about you, XYZ. Maybe they're not. So maybe you're the one that's at fault. And you're the one that's at fault because you want to have that person be the person that you want them to be. Maybe it's you. I don't know. I've had that problem. Not even gonna lie about it, right? I see people in a way that I see them at their best, their fullest potential. The reality is they're not living in the place that I see them, and it gets me in trouble. It gets me jammed up because I want more than what that person can give me. So it can be an issue. So let me get back to my list. I'm off track. Let me get back to my list. So the conversations revolve mostly around the other person's needs. You feel drained after the interaction rather than being connected. I like to say angry too. You can get off the phone and be madder than a hornet, right? I'm just mad. Finding reasons to get off the phone. You hesitate to reach out because you're not sure your needs will be met. You don't feel comfortable being vulnerable in return. And the relationship feels active in crisis, but quiet in everyday life. Come on, bring that back. The relationship is active in their crisis, but in their everyday, nothing's there. Their crisis, active, phone ringing, boop, 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 bon chiche, gossiping. That's my little Spanish word. Yeah, y'all teach me that little stuff. Yes, that bon chiche. But anyway, they're not calling the gossip. There's no productivity in the conversation. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with a little bon chiche, whatever. That's what you do with your friends. It's all good. It's all good. It is all good. I laugh because I feel like, sometimes you have friends for so long, like they come out of the friend zone, right? And they become like sisters and brothers, and you know. I laugh all the time because, you love your family, but sometimes they get on your nerves. You love them, you do. But sometimes they work your last nerve. You can't stand them. You need a break. That's how I feel like sometimes that's the way friendships go. Like the person has gone beyond a friend. Like they know you, sister, bestie, girlfriend, sister, girlfriend, right? It's not a casual acquaintance anymore. When you get to a place where you know people, like you live with them, and you can predict what they do and say, y'all not friends anymore. You're family at this point, right? So I think the dynamics shift a little bit with that. So when we talk about shifting, how do you get out of this pattern, right? How do we get out of this? How do we make it stop? I got time today. Let me tell you. I got time today. Um, the first question to be answered is when you shift or you try to stop this pattern, does it mean that the relationship is over? I can't answer that. That's a personal thing for you. So I think what I was just talking about, how people become your family and they're not your friends, right? They become your family. So when this tugging and pulling happens and relationship dynamics change, does that mean the relationship is over or does it mean that it's just shifting and it's changing? You're the only one that can decide that, you and the other person. Does the relationship reshape? Um, does it look differently? Only you can decide what you want. No one can do that. So for you to figure it out. So you and the other person have to determine, what that's going to look like. I'm always going to encourage you to look at yourself first, right? You always have to look at yourself first. What are your expectations? What are you trying to get out of this? What does this look like? Shifting from that mindset, you only see me when you need something. We got to reframe that because that is a very hurtful mindset. It creates feelings of I'm being used. They don't listen to me. I'm only good enough when the bottom's falling out. Nobody wants to feel like that. You don't want to feel like your relationship is transactional, especially with people you love, that you love dearly, you love with your whole heart. You want nothing but the best for them. But sometimes it can feel so one-sided that you don't know what to do. So what do we do about it? Well, you need to decide what you can and cannot tolerate, right? Um, so maybe you got a friend that you got to hop in there and before they even start talking, you start talking about you. Put your own self in there first. Beat them to the punch. I don't know. Because it's not that they don't respond, they just don't zip it long enough for you to say what's on your mind and what's going on with you. So that's number one, right? Start talking about yourself more. Step away from it and say, you know what? Maybe I can fix this situation by go ahead and being more vulnerable again, right? Giving them a piece of me, letting them see the other side of me. Um, Another thing you can do is don't immediately problem solve. Just listen. That has stopped a lot of things, and I think that and if you're listening, sorry, but I think that it's also caused problems because when someone expects you or they ask you, oh, what do you think? And then you tell them, well, I think it's your business. I think you should do what you feel like. Or if they ask you a question and you give them a question back, again, I'm sorry. I'm laughing, I'm smiling, but that's why I did what I did, right? Because I'm not solving your problem. We're supposed to be friends. I am not your therapist. I am not the person that can fix everything. I'm a human being. I have feelings. Things happen to me all the time. I live in the chaos. I can function in the chaos. My world could be falling apart and I'll be smiling in your face like nothing's happening. That don't work for me anymore. I'm getting so much older, right? So when you are that person that's very similar to what I'm describing, and you're the one that's like, "Ah, I need something. This is not working for me." It has to change because it is so hurtful. So stop solving the problems. Just listen. Active listening, that's what we call it. Reflection of feelings. Oh, so what I hear you're saying is you're frustrated with XYZ. What are you going to do about that? I don't want to fix it anymore, but I can listen and I can support you. So try that. Decide if you can move without the guilt, right? Because when you try to make these shifts, I know from experience, it's lonely. I'm going to do people the way that they do me, whether they intentionally are doing it or they're not doing it. Let me see if my absence is felt. Let me see what happens when I stop calling or I stop coming. When I tell you, your eyes will be like this. You're going to be looking like this because you're going to say, wow, what I was feeling is really true. It's true. And then what are you going to do with that information? Right? What are you going to do with it? Yes. I'm liking the lipstick. I need to put the lipstick on. Um, got to keep these lips moisturized. Loving the all day. Um, I just wish it wasn't matte lipstick. I like the matte, but I would prefer a little shine. But I haven't found one in an all day. So if you have an all day one that has a little bit of shine to it, let your girl know. All right. So back to it. When you start pulling away because you notice these patterns are happening, it's lonely. No cap. That's what they say. It's lonely. It's really lonely. And you start questioning everything you know about the relationship. Wow. Was I the one that kept it going? Am I the one that reaches out all the time? Am I the one that's always there to save the day? If you are going to make these shifts and these changes, it's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel awkward, but I promise you, in the end, you are going to feel so much lighter. Um, Another thing you could do is allow space. Allow space. You don't always have to be available. You don't always have to be available. You don't always have to answer the phone. You don't. Stop making yourself feel so available, and maybe people will stop just making you a choice. Not an option. You're not an option. That's what one-sidedness does too, right? You pick and choose when you deal with me. That's also not a nice place to be in or to to want to feel. I guess it's just not a good place. So share a little bit more about yourself. Try not to problem solve all the time. Put it back on the person you're talking to. Um, Take a break if you need it. Don't answer the phone. Don't be so readily available. Um, and choose which relationship that you feel is worth investing in. You choose it. If something is not making you feel good and you don't feel like it's worth fighting for, then let it go. Or make the changes you need that you can still have a relationship with the person, but maybe the dynamics have changed a little bit. It is so hard backing off of something that you've done for so long. We reinforce the behavior. Bottom line, come back to it again. We teach people how to treat us. We do all the time. We teach them how to treat us. We reinforce it. You're always there. You're always available. You always have the right things to say. You always do the right things. It always makes sense. I feel so much better after I talk to you. Well, you should. That's what friends do. But when both people aren't feeling good after the conversation, there's a problem, a big one. I'm gonna need you to look into that, okay? All right. It might be transactional, right? We talked about it. Conversations only revolve around that person. The same conversation, which means they're not listening to anything you have to say anyway, and that's totally frustrating. It's like diarrhea in the mouth. Shut up. I need you to zip it. You're talking too much, right? Feeling drained when you get off the phone or whatever in person, you feel drained. And drained because you might be angry, annoyed, irritated, agitated. I could go on and on and on. But anyway, you're annoyed. Um, you hesitate to reach out because you don't want to keep going through the same thing over and over again. It's redundant and it's annoying. Um, you stop being vulnerable. You stop being open. Everything's fine because you're not going to give me the attention I need anyway. So I'm not going to tell you anything different. So, relationships follow patterns. They do. If you want to break the pattern and you want to get off of the hamster wheel, there's some work that's going to need to be done. That's uncomfortable. You're not going to like it. It's not going to feel good. You're going to be the bad guy too. Just know, I just want to let you know, you're going to become the bad guy. Oh, he or she disappeared. Oh, they stopped calling. They stopped coming. But what did you do? What did you do? You weren't doing it to begin with. That's why you think it's an issue. You were reaping all the benefits, reaping all the benefits. So even when it's unintentional, it does not feel good, right? The question is, what do you do with all this information, right? It doesn't mean, oh, you throw people away. Like, it doesn't work like that. Communication, being able to talk about what's going on, about how someone feels. My caution is this: repeated patterns, right? Repeated patterns are not instances of accidental occurrences, okay? If someone keeps engaging in the same pattern, it is not an accident. It's not an accident. Not saying it's intentional either. It could be personality, it could be learned behavior. It just is who it is at their core. And that's okay. And that's fine with that. Be fine with it. Be okay with it. Stop trying to make something fit. It's like trying to put a square in a circle. You know, them little kid toys that you got to match the shapes. Stop trying to make it fit. Stop trying to make it something that it's not. Stop trying to interact with the person that you see that they're not quite there yet. Not saying that they never will. Um, to me, this is about putting yourself first and putting your needs first. What is it you need? Get what you need. Stop being options for people and choices. If you have a desire for more, then find people that are willing to give you more. If you're okay with transaction, then be okay with transaction. All you need to be looking for is, how do you make the transaction more balanced or the interaction more balanced? Or you're not cool with the transactional part of it and you really want to You want it to be better. You want it to do better. I'm plugging in my computer. Uh, How do you do that? Yep. How do you do it? How do you do it? You know what I just realized? I was on here and I didn't use any of my new tools and tricks that I learned. How to make writing go across the bottom. I learned that. I actually learned a timer too. So I'm excited about that, but I didn't use it. I'm so upset with myself that I did not do any of the overlays today. Let me see what we have going on here. Since you're here with me, I might as well hop it in. All right, it puts my, let me see the kind of headlines so I have going on in here. Um, yeah, no, I definitely did not do my overlays, and I'm so upset because I should have. Um, let's see if we can get one for the road. See if we can get one for the. Uh, yeah, look at that. I was so in it that oh my gosh, I can't even believe I did that. So, there you go. You only see me when you need something. All right, let's try this. There we go. Yeah, I can't believe I did that. Shame on me. But anyway, back to what I was saying. We want to look for balance. Um, so let's look at some things that we can take away from all of this as I close. Being the person people turn to, it's not a flaw, it's a strength. If you are that person, big ups to you. It's a lonely place, but it's a rewarding place. I am one of those people, and I know that I help people. I help the people that I deal with, help the people that I talk to. I don't have any regrets for who I am, but I had to learn balance because I didn't like the way that it was making me feel. So, connecting with people, it should be present. It shouldn't be about drama. It shouldn't be about bonchiche. It shouldn't be about being in a crisis mode. It shouldn't be about any of those things. All it should be about is genuine connection. We're talking about all these things. We are giving and taking, right? I'm supporting, you're supporting. We're in this together, okay? Giving and taking. Um, I believe that that's when relationships can really take a deep dive when there's a healthy, even exchange, not one-sided. Because when it's one-sided, I talked about this several times in this podcast episode, it lacks vulnerability. Um, you should want to laugh together. You should want to cry together. Um, it's also frustrating too. This just kind of dropped in my spirit. When you're the one being super vulnerable and you're giving every part of you and everything that's going on, and the other person is not. That is an example of being one-sided too. Okay. When a person they're withholding information from you or they're keeping things from you and you're supposed to be um on a level of relationship that these things should not be happening, that's something that's hurtful too. So connection should be both ways, regardless whether someone's withholding information, whether someone's the constant dumper, whatever the case may be. that keeps people from being vulnerable as well. Why am I going to tell you anything about me when every time I turn around, I'm hearing something about you or something's going on with you after the fact, right? That's not mutual friendship either. So that it could be rooted in guilt and shame, but we're not talking about mental health. We're talking about connection. But it could be rooted in guilt and shame that maybe someone isn't sharing certain things. But again, to me, that lacks trust, right? You don't trust me enough to give me that information, but yet I trust you with everything I have. That's a problem too. That is a one-sided relationship. Um, yeah, so some things to think about. Um, who in your life mostly reaches for you in the moments of need? Who's that person? Have you identified that person? Did you think you had that person? And then it turned out that that is not so. Um, and what would it feel like to gently shift how you show up in that dynamic with that person? So, who in your life mostly reaches for you in moments of need? And what would it feel like to gently shift how you show up in that dynamic? Think about it. Make space for relationships to include you too. You're allowed to have your feelings, right? Now, this is mental health. We can have our feelings. We can sit with our feelings. Our feelings don't have to sit in the basement. They're allowed to be in the living room, right? They can sit right with us. It's okay. We can sit with uncomfortable feelings. We can sit with uncomfortable truths. We can do all those things. We can do hard things, right? We can do hard things. Sit with your feelings, identify how you're feeling, try to understand why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. If this conversation resonated with you in any way, I'm glad I could have been of service. Drop some stuff down in the chat. We can chit chat. We can continue on with this. I really enjoyed this topic. You only see me when you need something. When relationships start to feel like transactions, let's identify these negative patterns. Let's continue to grow. We need each other. Nobody is on an island. And if you're one of those people that say, oh, I don't need anybody, I used to be one of those people. It's not true. Nobody can stand alone. We were not designed to be alone. Everybody needs someone. Everybody. We do. Alone doesn't feel good. So let's work on these negative patterns. We can change patterns. We can, if you're willing to put in the work. It might be your pattern. It might be someone else's pattern. Is there love? Is there desire? A desire to have the connection? All these things. Relationships don't have to be transactional. You can take control. So you either decide to shift them, compartmentalize them, or let them go. You get to decide that, and nobody gets to decide that for you. So we are out of time. Thank you so much for joining me. Like, follow, share, slide over to YouTube, subscribe to my channel. I am building that. Come on, invite your friends, share my stuff, go watch another podcast. There will be more things like this. Real life, real talk, real issues, real people. Kicking it with Dr. Kelz. That's what it's all about. So let's get on in here and get healed together. I pray you well. I pray you whole. Grace, peace, and blessings over your life. And I will see you on the next podcast.